The screen is black. Only the sound of wind, distant rotors, and a single French voice laughing through a radio. These Filipinos? They brought flip-flops to a gunfight. More laughter. Then a second voice, colder, almost amused. 5 minutes. That's all I give them before they're crying for mommy. 0 minutes later, everything went wrong for France. 5 minutes later, the entire room was silent. And by minute 6, the same French operator who had been laughing was on his knees, staring at the floor, whispering one word over and over. Impossible. This is the true story of the 2019 Bali Counter-Terror Expo that Paris still refuses to talk about. The day French GIGN and RAID, the most elite hostage rescue units on the planet, challenged a tiny group of unknown Filipino operators to a live fire demonstration nobody was supposed to record, and walked away broken. My name is your channel name, and in the next hour you're going to discover exactly how a team nobody believed in turned the special ops world upside down in front of 28 nations, and why the official report was buried so deep it took me 3 years to get my hands on it. If you stay until the end, I'll show you the unedited helmet cam footage that leaked last year, the one that got an entire subreddit banned in 48 hours. Hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications because YouTube is already nervous about this one. Let's start 3 days before the disaster. Bali, Indonesia. The annual Counter-Terrorism International Expo is supposed to be a trade show. New rifles, fancy drones, billion-dollar contracts. But every year after the booths close, the real event happens in a classified hangar at the old Ngurah Air Base. No press, no cameras. Just operators from 28 countries and one rule. Bring your best 6-man assault team. Scenario: 42 hostages, 12 armed terrorists, multi-level building, live ammo, real explosives, 0 margin for error. Fastest clear time with 0 civilian casualties wins bragging rights for the entire year. France shows up like they always do. Cocky. GIGN and RAID decide to combine into one dream team. 6 operators, average age 34, average experience 14 years. They've done real raids in Mali, Burkina Faso, downtown Paris. Their leader, a captain everyone just calls Remy, has 43 confirmed hostage rescues. He walks into the hangar wearing Oakleys and a smirk that says, "We invented this game." Across the room, almost invisible, stand 6 Filipinos in plain black t-shirts and what look like knockoff Salomon boots. No unit patches, no flags. Just one small embroidered word on their chest. NAVSOG, Naval Special Operations Group. Philippine Navy. Most of the Europeans have never even heard of them. Remy walks over, offers a handshake that turns into a flex contest. Philippines, huh? You guys still use those old M16s from Vietnam? The Filipino team leader, a quiet man in his late 30s named Lieutenant Commander Ryan "Boo-Boy" Torres, just smiles and says in perfect English, "We brought what works, sir." The French laugh again. One of them even pulls out his phone and records a TikTok. Day 47 of teaching third world countries how to clear a room. The caption, prayers to Manila. The judges, a mix of Delta retirees, SAS old boys, and Indonesian Kopassus generals, give both teams the same layout, a 3-story mock embassy. 42 hostages, played by real civilians who signed waivers. 12 terrorists armed with AKs and live frags, explosives wired to doors. The only difference, France gets to run first. They clear the building in 4 minutes and 51 seconds, 0 civilian casualties. 2 terrorists killed, 10 surrendered. Textbook the French high five like they just won the World Cup. Remy grabs the mic, 4:51, new expo record. Who wants to try and beat that? He looks straight at the Filipinos. Your turn, gentlemen, try not to shoot the hostages. The room erupts. Someone starts a slow clap that turns sarcastic. Boo-Boy Torres doesn't say a word. He just puts on a pair of mechanic's gloves, checks a beat-up Glock 19 with no fancy sights, and nods to his 5 guys. They look calm, almost bored. The timer resets to 0, the buzzer screams. And this is where everything you think you know about special operations gets destroyed. Second 03. The Filipino team doesn't stack on the door like normal people. They don't breach. They don't throw a single flashbang. Instead, 2 operators, twins actually, everyone calls them Kuya 1 and Kuya 2, sprint straight at the front wall like lunatics. The French are already laughing again. What are they doing, parkour? Second 4. Kuya 1 jumps, plants a foot on the wall and launches himself to a second-floor balcony nobody even knew existed. Kuya 2 does the same on side B, no grappling hooks, no ladders, just raw explosiveness. Second 7. The remaining 4 Filipinos literally walk, through the front door like they're entering 7-Eleven. No shield, no ram. The door was already unlocked, they knew. The French laughter dies in their throats. Second 9. Upstairs, the first terrorist rounds the corner and raises his AK. Kuya 1 is already there, he doesn't shoot. He slaps the barrel upward with his left hand, rips the AK away with his right, and smashes the terrorist's face with the buttstock so fast, the GoPro barely catches it. 1 zip tie done. Second 11, same floor, different hallway. Kuya 2 meets 3 terrorists at once. He drops to his knees, slides across the polished floor like it's made of ice, and shoots each one once in the ankle from under their own muzzles. All 3 drop screaming. He zip ties them while still sliding. Meanwhile, downstairs, the 4 Filipinos who walked in are moving like ghosts. No calling corners, no verbal commands at all. They're using hand signals so subtle the judges have to watch the replay in slow-mo to even see them. Room 1. A terrorist is hiding behind a female hostage, pistol to her head. Normal protocol says negotiate or snipe through the eye. The Filipino operator, a baby-faced guy they call Probincia, just raises 1 finger. The hostage sees it, nods almost imperceptibly and bites the terrorist's wrist like a rabid dog. Half-second distraction. Probincia puts 2 round center mass before the terrorist can even scream. The French Captain Remy is watching the monitor, mouth open. Someone behind him whispers, "That's not doctrine. That's witchcraft." Second 38. Third floor. The mastermind terrorist has 5 hostages in a kill room rigged with C4 on a dead man switch. Standard solution: breach, flash, pray. The Filipinos don't breach. 1 operator, the oldest, a chief petty officer with gray hair, just knocks on the door. Politely 3 times. The terrorist screams, "I'll blow it." The Filipino answers in perfect Arabic, calm, almost fatherly. "Son, your thumb is getting tired. Let me help you rest." What happens next still gives Delta instructors nightmares. The old Filipino reaches into his pocket and pulls out a children's balloon, red one. He inflates it slowly in the hallway, ties it, and gently pushes it under the door. Inside the room, the hostages see a red balloon floating toward them. Kids start laughing. The terrorist is confused for exactly 1.8 seconds. That's all the gray-haired chief needs. He kicks the door. Not hard, just enough. And the moment the dead man's switch wire moves, a tiny .22 pistol appears in his hand from nowhere and shoots the wire in half. The C4 never gets the signal. He then walks in, disarms the terrorist with a spoon, an actual metal spoon he took from the embassy kitchen, and zip ties him using the balloon string. The French are no longer laughing. They are no longer breathing. Minute 1.12, entire building clear. 42 hostages safe. 12 terrorists neutralized. 0 fatalities because the Filipinos switched to leg shots the moment surrender was possible. Not 1 friendly round fired at them. Not 1 civilian hurt. Final time, 1 minute, 12 seconds. Less than a quarter of France's time. The hangar is dead silent. Buboy Torres walks up to Remy, offers the same handshake from earlier. This time Remy takes it with both hands. Torres leans in and whispers something. Remy's face goes white. Later, someone with a lip-reading app figured out what he said. "We trained for your doctrine. Then we trained for when your doctrine fails." The judges declared NAVSOG the winner. France doesn't even place top 5. But the real humiliation was still coming. That night at the expo gala, the French general in charge gets drunk and demands a rematch. Same building, but this time we blindfold the Filipinos.
See if they're still so clever.
The Indonesian hosts try to calm him down. Buboy Torres just smiles and says blindfolds are fine, but only if your team uses them too. The French general laughs so hard he spills his wine. Deal. They schedule it for the next morning. No spectators this time. Just the teams, the judges, and 1 GoPro the Filipinos insist on wearing for training purposes. That footage is what you're going to see at the end of this video. But first, you need to understand who these Filipinos actually were. Because NAVSOG isn't just Philippine SEALs, there's something much scarier. In 2017, the southern Philippines turned into a war zone. ISIS-linked terrorists took over the entire city of Marawi. 600,000 civilians trapped, house-to-house fighting for 5 straight months. The Philippine military was losing, so they did something insane. They took 42 operators, hand-picked from Navy, Marines, Scout Rangers, and even the Presidential Security Group, locked them in Marawi with almost no resupply, and told them, clear 120 square kilometers of urban combat. Alone. For 153 days they fought with whatever they could find, captured enemy weapons, homemade bombs, sometimes just bolos and determination. They slept maybe 2 hours a night. They lost 11 brothers, but they took the city back street by street, room by room, often at knife range. When it was over, the U.S. Joint Special Operations Command sent a classified team to study what the hell just happened. Their report, parts of which leaked in 2021, had one line that made the Pentagon choke. The Philippine operators displayed an adaptability and close-quarters lethality that exceeds current Tier 1 capability in several measured categories. Translation: these guys just beat ISIS in a city fight using tactics American and European units have never seen. And 6 of the survivors from Marawi, they were the exact 6 standing in that Bali hangar. Now fast forward to the Blindfold rematch. Both teams wearing blacked-out swimming goggles. Pitch dark inside the building. Same 42 hostages, same 12 terrorists. But this time the terrorists get night vision. France goes first again. Blind, they're cautious. It takes them 11 minutes and 42 seconds. 3 hostages killed, they blame the blindfolds. Then the Filipinos step up. The GoPro starts rolling. You hear Buboy's voice calm. Okay lang. Tahimik lang. Translation: it's okay. Just be quiet. They enter. And for the next 43 seconds, the entire special operations world loses its collective mind. Because these men don't walk, they flow. You hear bare feet on tile. They took their boots off. You hear breathing so controlled it's almost silent. Then singing very soft. A Filipino lullaby. Ili tuluganay. The hostages hear it and instantly know friendlies are inside. They go dead quiet. Second 12. A terrorist with night vision whispers, "I see movement." A hand covers his mouth from behind. You hear the softest thwip, a suppressed 22 to the medulla. He drops without a sound. Second 19. Another terrorist opens fire blindly down a hallway. Tracers light up the dark. You see 6 shadows literally running on the walls, using furniture, railings, each other's shoulders like it's a circus act. Bullets miss by inches. One Filipino is literally upside down on the ceiling beam when he reaches down and drags a terrorist up by the throat. Second 31. The last terrorist barricades himself in the kill room again, screaming he'll blow the C4. This time the gray-haired chief doesn't knock. He just starts telling a story in Bisaya about how his daughter used to be afraid of the dark. How he taught her to count heartbeats instead of seconds. The terrorist is so confused he forgets to press the trigger. That's when Provincia, the baby-faced one, crawls through an air vent nobody knew existed, drops behind the terrorist and hugs him. Not a choke, a literal hug. Whispers, "Tama na dong." Enough, little brother. The terrorist breaks down crying and surrenders. 43 seconds, 0 casualties, blind. When the lights come back on, the French team is standing there, goggles off, staring at 6 barefoot Filipinos casually eating stolen hostage biscuits like they just woke up from a nap. Remy walks up to Buboy, salutes, and says in broken English, "I laughed at you. I was wrong, teach us." That night, instead of the usual after party, the French host a closed-door session that lasts until 4 a.m. They beg the Filipinos to run a week-long exchange. The Filipinos agree, on one condition: no cameras, no patches. No credit, just knowledge. And that's when the real legend begins. Over the next 2 years, small groups of GIGN RAID GSG-9, even a few Delta guys quietly fly to a tiny island in the Philippines called Ternate. No official records. They train in monsoon rain, in 40-degree heat, in waist-deep floodwater filled with snakes. They learn to fight with kitchen utensils, with flip-flops, with a smile. They learn that discarte, a Filipino word that roughly means figure it the fuck out, is the most dangerous weapon on earth. One French operator who went, he asked me not to use his name, told me this: "We thought we were the best because we had the best gear, the best funding, the best politics. They showed us the best is the one who can win when he has nothing left but his brain and his brothers. After 1 week, I threw my $3,000 plate carrier in the ocean. I haven't worn it since." So why have you never heard this story? Because France classified everything. Because the U.S. doesn't want to admit a tiny country with a defense budget, smaller than the NYPD, just embarrassed 2 decades of Western SOF doctrine. And because the Filipinos themselves don't care about fame. When I finally tracked down Buboy Torres last year, He's retired now, runs a small carinderia in Cebu. I asked him why they never bragged. He laughed, handed me a plate of sisig and said, "Bakit? May price ba ang pagiging magaling? Why, is there a price for being good?" Then he showed me a photo on his phone. The 6 of them from Bali, barefoot, covered in fake blood, eating ice cream with the French team like old friends. On the back, someone wrote in Sharpie, 0 to 5, never forget. Meaning France 0, Philippines 5. 5 exercises that week, 5 Filipino wins. I asked him if I could share the GoPro footage. He shrugged. Kung para sa kabataan, okay lang. If it's for the youth, it's okay. So here we are. If you're still watching right now, almost 30 minutes in, you already know this story is bigger than one expo. It's about what happens when people who have nothing to prove meet people who think they've already proved everything. And if you've ever felt counted out, laughed at, told your country or your team or you yourself will never be good enough, this is your reminder that sometimes the ones in flip-flops change history. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from. I read every single one. And if this video hits 500,000 likes, I'll release the raw 43-second blindfold footage next week, uncensored, with English subtitles, direct from Buboy's phone. Smash that like button for the underdogs. Subscribe and ring the bell because the algorithm is already scared of this one. And share this with someone who needs to hear that impossible is just a starting point. Salamat. Mabuhay. And to the French operators who laughed that day, no respect. You learned that's what real warriors do. I'll see you in the next one.